Say my name, you insolent dickhole.
Hello and welcome to episode 50 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivers. With me as usual is John Denton.
Alright.
Right, episode 50. Nothing's changed. This format's the same as ever. 2 top 10 lists. The number 10s are the games we've been playing the least over the past 7 days. The number 1s are the games we've been playing the most. That's it. Same old, same old. John, let's go.
Do this number 10, my boy Darts Night on iOS. Good fun. Technically probably higher, but I don't want to talk about it too much. Free, fun, get it.
Okay, I will investigate that, although I probably won't remember. My number 10 is a game called Bop It Smash on the iOS. It's free. Have you ever heard of Bop It?
Is it that toy that you pass, that squeak and squeeze and bop and all that shit?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I looked at there was some kind of like about thing on the game, and it went to this like handheld toy. Yeah, I've never heard of it. But it's all about reaction times, and the app is that's all the app's about. How best? I mean, it's the simplest game in the world. There's a circle on the screen, and this sort of like imagine like someone's pointing a laser pen at the screen, and every time it goes in the circle, you tap the screen. That's it. It's just testing your reaction times.
Right.
Within that circle in the middle, there's a tiny little circle, and if you can obviously nail it inside that, you get more points. The only problem, I mean, it's the simplest game in the world. You wouldn't believe how simple it is. But surprisingly, surprisingly more, it's the epitome of something that will keep you sort of idly busy for over like two minutes when you just whip your phone out. The only problem with it is that there's in-app purchases, and the in-app purchases are just cheats. So there might be some interest in seeing, who out of you and all of your friends have the best sort of reflexes. But if you go to the top of the worldwide leaderboards, there's just people who've spent a few quid or a few dollars on buying extra lives and cheats and stuff.
Fantastic.
So it's just kind of the one thing it would be really, really good for is voided by that. But it's still fun. I mean, it's free. It's just a good way to spend a very, very short period of time, really.
Yeah, that sounds like a game I'll never play. But
yeah, genuine.
Yeah, thanks for talking about it. My number 9 is PES. I haven't played it for ages. I thought I'd have a quick game, Madrid versus United, based on the game last night as we were recording. And it was fun. I won 1-0. I still really love PES. Looking forward to seeing what happens on next generation PES, on the new Fox engine, or whatever it's called, the new Konami next gen engine. Yeah, I'm pumped about that.
Yeah, I'll have a game at some point in the next few weeks. It's something I've been having an itch to go back to. Okay, well, my number 9 is Fist of the North Star, Ken's Rage 2. Again, it's not something I've played a vast amount of, but what I have played, it really has got to me. It is just Dynasty Warriors, but there is something that I like a lot more about just it being hand-to-hand combat. And it's as it progresses, it gets a little bit more involved. You have to master the dash move, and there's a really cool charge attack, which just to decimate like about 20 guys with it is really incredibly satisfying. The funny thing, Dynasty Warriors is something that it's assumed everyone knows what it is, and it's actually, as simple as it is, it's quite hard to describe the appeal of it. But I have to say, was there orbs in Dynasty Warriors?
I think so.
I can never remember. I mean, because this
remember.
It is constantly being swarmed by enemies. There's loads of orbs flying around. It is actually quite gripping, albeit very, very simplistic. I mean, I can understand why people fall in love with it, but if you're curious about it or aren't familiar with Dynasty Warriors, just go on YouTube, because that's the best way to sort of explain what it's about. But it's very good, I have to say.
I heard it's just the same as the first Ken's Rage.
I never played that, so I can't comment.
Yeah, I don't know either. I haven't played either, but yeah, that's what I'm hearing. But
it's fun.
Whatever.
It's fun, but I mean, if you have, it's a very specific type of gamer that tends to like those games. So you should.
Yeah, people love them. I fucking hate them, but yeah, all power to you.
I don't like Dynasty Warriors. Yeah, but I think this is better for me.
Good old Kenneth. My number 8. Yeah, is Metroid Fusion on the 3DS via the GBA. Remember those presents that we got for getting the 3DS early?
Yeah.
And Nintendo gave us a bunch of presents.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, this was one of them, wasn't it? Metroid Fusion. Really good. I never actually played a 2D Metroid game before. I never played Super Metroid when I was a kid. I was a bit too young for the very first one on the NES. and it's really, really good. It's exactly what you'd expect it to be. That whole Metroidvania thing that I know winds you up comes from, this. So exploration, locked off areas, shooting things, finding new abilities, getting to the new areas. You know how Metroid works.
Of course.
Really nice tactile 2D gameplay, nice graphics. Yeah, it's cool. It's something that I'll whip out every now and again, I would have thought, and power through it.
Yeah, I don't mind the Metroidvania gameplay style. I just hate the word.
No, I know that. Yeah.
I think I played that for a bit and was quietly impressed as well, but I haven't gone back to it. But I like to say that I will do one day, but I probably won't.
Yeah, when I said I will, I probably won't.
Okay, my number 8 is a game called Zombie Strippers Stole My Heart, Then Ate My Brains on the Xbox 360.
You know how to pick them.
I do. Actually, this is actually perfectly reasonable. It's a first-person shooter. It's 80 Microsoft points, and it's just zombies from Call of Duty mode. There's none of the bells and whistles. You're not boarding up sort of entrances for them to get in. There's no leveling up. It's incredibly simple. The animation is so basic and skittish that it's hard to get headshots, and you just hoard ammo and just kill. Occasionally protecting someone. It's ridiculously simple. But for what it is, it's like, this is perfectly acceptable for 80 Microsoft points. It's perfectly fine. I mean, I played it for a little while and I thought, this is pretty good for a shit game.
Oh, that doesn't sound too bad then. What's the name again? It is a good name.
Zombie Strippers Stole My Heart, Then Ate My Brains. It's but presentation-wise, the nuts and bolts of it are quite, like I said, the skittish animation. If you try and get headshots, it's just an exercise in frustration. But apart from that, for 80 Microsoft points, it's good. If you want a sort of disposable alternative to zombies mode in Call of Duty, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Oh, good on him. Well done. My number 7 is a game called Limits and Demonstrations. I think that's what it's called. This was a free spin-off of Kentucky Route Zero that appeared this week. As it was free, I decided to download it. It's kind of the art game taken to its most pretentious end. You're actually walking around an art installation by a fictional artist within this game world. I think there's 5 pieces, and you can go and look at them, and then it has the Kentucky Route Zero gameplay, I guess you call it, where you'll be in a conversation and 3 options will come up, but then you're not reacting as you would in a Mass Effect or a Walking Dead. You're just sort of dictating where the narrative goes by saying one of your 3 answers. You walk in a circle around these 5 things. It's still very stylish, kind of monochrome, really cool animation. It's reasonably well written. But it got me thinking about this whole style of game. I talked about it a bit, and some of the films I've watched recently. I'm going to talk about that later when I talk about another game higher up in my list. But so some points came to me, so I want to talk about them a little bit later in the show.
Okay, fair enough. So who actually made it?
I think they're called Cardboard Games or Cardboard Computing or something like that. It's the Kentucky Route Zero people, and this is part of that world. They just decided to release it as a free download for here. I thought it was like made. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant that it was made by fans or something. It was like. Oh no! It's part of this universe made by the same people. I'm not too sure why they did it, but they wanted to add a bit of colour and content, I guess, for want of a better word, to their world. It's by an artist called Lula Chamberlain. I don't recognise that name from the game, but maybe it was mentioned. It's extremely pretentious, but without being too irritating, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, fair enough.
Its heart's in the right place, I think.
So you prefer it to the actual original Kentucky Route Zero?
Well, I do, because it was free and it took about 5 minutes.
Okay, fair comment. All right, okay. My number 7 is Rainbow Six Vegas. Still doing it.
Still playing it.
Yeah. I mean, it is such a strange game because it's hard to compute that something so primitive came at the beginning of this hardware generation. I mean, walking through Las Vegas and it's just a ghost. There's no NPCs unless it's one of the guys that you're shooting at. It's really, really old school. It does that horrible thing where you've got someone in cover, you're zooming at them, you're aiming at them, and they don't move for half an hour. You depress zoom back in, and then they pop out. Really, really old stuff. And it's really, people like to say that video games don't progress, but I don't think a game would get away with this now. Whenever there's Mexican hostages, it's 2 women both wearing floral dresses, and it's a guy in a sombrero hat. It's
got the cucaracha as well, isn't it, when you play?
Oh, I haven't noticed that, I have to say. One of the good things about it is that unlike a lot of modern co-op shooters, there's a lot of opportunities for you to breach. Not the Call of Duty slow motion breach, but enter a building. One of you goes underneath and one of you goes on top. I mean, they did it in Black Ops 2 a couple of times. It was like, that's really cool. They do it loads in this, which is nice. I mean, you're only ever fighting like 6 guys, so it doesn't exactly get exciting. It's kind of refreshing that it's basically a hardcore game. There's no checkpoints. If both of you die, you're screwed. I say there's no checkpoints. There's only like two per level, and the levels last about half an hour, 40 minutes. And the one thing I will say, there's a really cool effect in it, which I've never seen in another game, and I've seen it a couple of times in this. If you really nail a grenade, and it lands at the foot of an enemy, and it goes bang, they go shooting across, and like boom, like they fly across, the environment. It's like, wow, it just looks cool. It's like a stylistic device that I've seen used in a couple of movies. I was like, that looks great. But yeah, we're enjoying it, sort of. It's all right.
Well, so it's amazing that it holds up at all for being that old. But...
Well, it doesn't, to be honest. I mean, it's honestly, it's a game that it looks so much older than it actually is, and that makes it interesting to me. I mean, we keep going, fuck, there's no waypoints because we keep getting lost, but and it's kind of, I don't miss that. I'd much rather have a waypoint than be lost, so I'm not one of those people that thinks that everything's too easy. Being lost fucking sucks just because you can't find one ladder in the corner of a level. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's fine.
The next one should be out soon enough on next gen. Rainbow Six Patriots, they did that big demo.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, like a year ago or something. Looked quite cool.
About that. Yeah.
Okay, my number 6 is a reasonably old game as well. I went and traded a bunch of stuff in yesterday or the day before at CEX and got a decent amount of wedge for it, so I decided to spend it on games that I'd always quite fancied playing instead of just the normal crap that I'll spend it on. So the first one I got is Alpha Protocol, which was super cheap. It was like £4, £3 or something like that. And I'd always quite fancied it. I always liked the idea of it, a Mass Effect style game, but in like a Jason Bourne kind of universe. I played the opening mission. Fucking hell, that is one ugly game. I can't believe that this is an Xbox 360 game. I like the concept of the game more than the actuality of it so far.
Yeah.
Definitely the guy that you're playing as is a fucking dickhead, and there's a lot of stats early on. It's not very well written. It's ugly as hell, and the combat's not very good. But I might stick. Yeah, I don't know. I've got a few things to play. I was going to say I might try and get into it properly, but I just can't see it ever really rewarding my time. I know a lot of people like it, and it's got a kind of cult following, but I think I came a little bit too late to enjoy its charms.
Yeah, it's a game that I liked at the time, but I the same as you, I admired what it was trying to do rather than how it was actually executed. I played it once for a review, and then I went to play it again, and as soon as it started, I was like, oh, I can't. Life's too short to do this again.
Yeah.
It's a game to be admired, and at least you've checked it out, because it is it is somehow significant in the grand scheme of those kind of games, because nothing really has been attempted like it before or since. But it's an admirable failure, but it is actually, I do think it is actually a failure in retrospect.
That's it. We're always looking forward in games, especially people who cover games and are obsessively reading the sites and on there every day, always looking forward to the next thing, the next game. So often in place of the games you're currently playing, like you don't get a chance to replay the game that you just played that you should replay or something like that. So I decided, okay, well, I'm going to actually look back a little bit this week and try and pick out some stuff that I have enjoyed playing or I've always wanted to play, because you can lose your mind a little bit just always waiting for the next big thing. Right now they're talking about the new Nintendo stuff that's coming out. The Direct conference is on as we're speaking, and everybody's going, oh, I'm hyped for this, and yeah, I am too, but what about the game that just came out last week? It's important not to get carried away. And I'm the reason I even bring it up, because I'm the guiltiest of it out of anyone I know. I'm always looking for the next big thing. But hence me buying Alpha Protocol, which turns out to be shit. So I'll completely undermine my own point.
Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't persevere. I mean, it doesn't change after you've done the first hour or so. It doesn't really change massively, and the gunplay is quite clunky as well, which is annoying.
Yeah. Definitely, I can see that already. I might stick it back on, but I bought a bunch of other games as well, which I'll talk about, which are already all of them are already more appealing.
Yeah. Okay, my number 6 is Battlefield 3. I won't talk about it very much. I played it on the weekend with a friend, and he said, let's play hardcore mode, which I'd never done before, believe it or not. And it is literally Call of Duty. That's all it is. You can't spot people. You have 60% health, and it's just non-stop claymores and a death-to-kill ratio of 1-to-1. It's like you kill someone, you die straight away. You kill someone, you die. It's just COD, and if you don't play it like COD, if you because I was playing it like Battlefield, there's no point. Everything that you do to help your team is insignificant. So it's not for me. But it was nice to try it, I suppose.
I think I played that a few times at the beginning, though, or maybe even on Bad Company 2, and it was really good. But it didn't play like COD. It was really slow and methodical, and everything even more tactical than normal battles. But
yeah, I mean, you see a guy, he's in a corner. I'm going to go in there and get him. No, you're not. He's sort of cornered himself off with 2 claymores. Exactly.
I think this was when people didn't even have stuff like that in their arsenal because it was such low level. But people should check out your My Week in Batters on our YouTube channel as well. Chet and John on YouTube. Start of a new volume is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm just going to capture me playing Battlefield just because I might as well, because I play so fucking much of it. But Batters.
Yeah, it's a good watch. My number 5 is Infamous 2 on PS3. It's on PlayStation Plus. I downloaded it, and it's pretty good. It reminded me that I actually quite liked Infamous 1. It's one of those games that left me with a bit of a bad taste in my mouth because it didn't end very well. But in retrospect, a good sort of 10 hours of it was really good fun. And straight away, this is even more good fun, I guess. It takes itself a little less seriously. Really ups the ante with the explosions and the carnage you can cause. And I forgot how fun it is just to traverse the world in Infamous. You're grinding on all these electrical cables and jumping, and it's a really nice movement, really fluid and fun to traverse the world. The whole game is set in the whole game, where I am at the moment, set in the equivalent of New Orleans. So you've got a bit more flavour and personalities, like really cool lights and stuff all through the world. And I'm being an absolute cunt, to be honest, just murdering everyone, which I never do in these games. But I thought I'm probably not going to finish this, so I'm going to see what it's like to be a bad guy. And just go up. There's people on the floor. Oh, help me! I'm ill. Just go and boot them in the face, kick them into a wall. It's pretty funny. It's actually really good. I went back and read some reviews on it because I remember it getting a bit of a kicking, but it didn't actually. It's got like an 86 Metacritic, which maybe is a little high, but it's got some good reviews out there as well. So I was like, and this is actually really nice. And to get it for free, I know it's not free because I paid for PS Plus, but basically, it's cool, and I will go back to it because I liked it.
Yeah, I like the first one very much. I never finished it. That's when they gave Sony. Why did Sony? Yeah, because of the whole. Whatever, the anonymous thing, the whole massive hoo-ha. I can't even remember the details of it. Where Sony gave us 2 free games if you had a PlayStation. So that was the first one was one of mine, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. For some reason, I never went back, but it was very, very good indeed. Much better than I expected. The
sequel came out way too quickly after the first one as well, and I was like, I don't need any more Infamous right now. It's like less than a year, I think, maybe. Yeah.
Really? Surely not.
No, probably not. But it was like, I don't think it was more than a year. It was really, really short. So, going to it now, it still holds up. It still looks nice as well. It doesn't look dated.
Okay. Well, it was fairly recently, the second one, wasn't it?
A couple of years ago, I think.
Fuck.
Yeah, maybe more.
Okay. All right, my number 5 is Need for Speed Most Wanted. Same old, playing a lot of multiplayer. Just a couple of stray observations which I never really noticed properly. The matchmaking system is crap because all you do is go to public game and you just get stuck wherever you end up. And some people tend to do really, really shit playlists where you just do one thing one after another, which is really irritating. So you have to come all the way out of multiplayer, go all the way back into a lobby, go all the way into a public game, and that's just a bit frustrating. Also, the speed tests online are really, I don't understand, because I mean, whenever anything starts on Most Wanted, it's a frenzy, like to try and find the racing line to get in place. Speed tests, it's just from A to B the quickest time, or passing a speed trap the fastest time. If someone takes you down before you get there, you're disqualified and you can't even have a go at it.
Yeah,
that's incredibly frustrating.
Yes, yeah.
And also, when you meet up in a circle, and in that circle, sometimes takedowns apply and sometimes they don't. There's no rhyme or reason to it. So that's fine, but it's annoying when you're sat in a circle trying to change your car or change your mods and someone rams into you, it kicks you out of the menu and you have to go back in and do it, and then someone will ram you again. It's like, come on, that's just maddeningly frustrating. But those things aside, it's still fucking amazing.
Yeah, that was one of the games I traded in. I just played it so much that my time with it was over. But as I've said so many times, still a lot of admiration. And apparently, I haven't watched the video yet, but people are saying they just demoed the Wii U version and it's supposed to be really cool. Loads of new features, loads of like gamepad specific stuff.
Yeah,
bug mode and stuff. I haven't watched it, but
it's worth a look. I mean, it's the guy, God bless him, is the most verbose person in the world. So it's like a 9-minute video that should have lasted probably 3 minutes at the most. But it's It's nice that they've actually done bespoke stuff. I don't think it's a reason to pick it up again. But yes, it's nice that they. No,
I won't. I've done 2 versions to death. So yeah, and then like preview events that probably totaled about 20 hours of play as well. So yeah, I'm definitely done. But I've certainly got my money's worth.
Yeah, indeed.
Cool. Right, my number 4, another one of these games that I picked up, and something that suddenly popped into my mind I'd always fancied playing and didn't get it at time is Silent Hill Downpour, which I think was only last year, was it?
It ended last year,
yeah. Yeah, sort of end of the year before, was it? Yeah.
When did I talked about it on the podcast, whenever that was.
Yeah, you did. So we got it on PS3. So far, I've only played the first hour, maybe, slightly less, but maybe a bit more than that. But it's kind of cool. I think the developers certainly get the old games. It's not as bold or kind of out there as stuff like, I mean, Silent Hill 2 starts with your guy looking at himself in the mirror, and then you just walk along this foggy path for an unbelievably, almost weird amount of time, while it gets foggier and thicker, and the weird noises just swirl in and out of the thing, and you're in this fog so long you start to see faces in the fog which aren't actually part of the game. It's just an amazing opening that I just don't think any budget, like any game with a budget, could actually get away with something like that these days. Sorry, but Downpour certainly, it kind of gets that, I think, from what I've played so far. I mean, the whole time I played it, there's not a single enemy apart from the hideous opening in the shower scene.
Yeah, it's nasty.
It's like really is nasty, but yeah, I mean, after playing Dead Space, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, it was kind of refreshing to play a tense horror game where there's just no, there really isn't any action for a long period of time. And it's just trying to set up some mood and sense of place. And I met a character. He was weird, spoke in a weird way. I was like, yeah, they get these games. It's not at the level of, I mean, Silent Hill 2 for me is one of the best games ever made. 3 is a masterpiece as well. 1's incredible. It's not there, but yeah, I'm definitely excited to go back to it. I think they. I've said it already, but I think they get it. So it's not scared me yet, but also I was playing it in the day. It's sunny down here. I've not got the headphones on, so I'm not really doing it justice, but I'm going to go back to it. And yeah, I'm glad that I picked it up.
Yeah, I remember being quietly impressed. That's definitely a game that I think is going to pick up. I think it's got cult appeal. It's not perfect. I mean, I'm not a massive Silent Hill person, and I'm no expert on the series by any measure, but I thought that was a really solid game in its own right, and I did love that opening. I was like really properly, genuinely unpleasant. But yeah, a good game, definitely.
Yeah, it's very juddery on PS3. I don't know if it was on X360, but it's almost like headache-inducing. It's pure Judd Apatow. I don't like it, but what can you do? PS3 sometimes.
Yeah, shame. Damn shame. Okay, my number 4 is Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Nintendo Wii. Played it on the Wii U, slightly upscaled. It looks incredible. I actually think I was racking my brains for a better looking 2D. It's not pin sharp, so it's not high def, but just in terms of the way the animation works and just the way it looks, it's, for me, I think it's the best looking 2D scrolling platform there's ever been. I also think it might be my favourite side-scrolling platformer ever. It's definitely honestly, playing it was just pure pleasure. It's made by Retro, obviously, but it's a Nintendo game through and through. It's just a ceaseless barrage of wit and invention, and it reminded me of how I felt about Super Mario 3D Land. Just the level of invention and the not jokes as such, but just the funny characters and just the amusing nature of the whole thing. And it's non-stop. It's pure and utter joy. I think it's, I always thought that Banjo-Kazooie was better than Mario 64, and I thought that Donkey Kong Country was better than Super Mario World. So I've always had an affection for these games, but I just think that this is absolutely unreal. It's unbelievably good.
I definitely didn't give it enough time. It's when I played it. I've spoken about it before, but I bailed way too early on that one. It was at the time when there was like 9 million other games out, and it just wasn't grabbing me in the way that I thought it would. But hearing you talk about it, I'm like, damn, I think I ditched that one way too early.
Yeah, and it does look the extra little bit of gleam that it gets from being on the Wii U really does make a difference.
Oh,
it does. I mean, it genuinely looks tremendous. But I just there's so many secrets in it. That's why, I mean, until you know that there's actually quite a number of, although you only use the Wiimote, there are a surprising number of different things you can do, different moves you can make and stuff like that. It's absolutely phenomenal. I love it an amazing amount.
Well, the little Pikmin men took my save over to the Wii U, so if I see it on the cheap, I might pick it up again because it's not a game. I shouldn't have got rid of it. It's not one of those games that is going to age. So
yeah, true.
Yeah, I should pick that back up again.
I advise it.
Yeah, it's me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Number 3. You say I never play the games that you suggest I would, but this time I did. Same thing in the shop. I picked up Assassin's Creed 3.
Blimey.
After what you spoke about, I think it was on the last podcast, you really sparked my interest once again. And I was like, oh, fuck it, I've got this decent-sized credit note, let's do it. Stuck it on this morning, and I really like it so far. Way more than the others. I've played the first. I've just got to Boston. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who's not played it, but I'm sure they have now. So I've played, a good chunk of it. The opening was superb in the Covent Garden Royal Opera House. Just absolutely amazing to look at, to experience. The acting and voice acting and dialogue is of a higher level than any of the others so far, and the character you play is at the beginning. I love him.
Yeah, brilliant. It really is brilliant.
I know people have all their complaints. I'm going to find out what they are later on as I play, but going in with low expectations has definitely helped. Going in not really liking the other game seems to have helped because it seems to be a bit different to them. I'll see where I end up. But yeah, so far I'm really into it. I want to know what happens next. And just got to Boston and you're walking around the streets and it's like, fuck. That's what I've always liked about Assassin's Creed, when you're just walking the streets of those amazing cities that they've built with what still is a great engine. It's still a fucking great looking game as far as I'm concerned on 360. And I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of excited to play a game that it might actually like, after assuming, and especially after reviews, almost deciding that I wouldn't like. And maybe I still won't. Maybe 2 hours later I'll fucking hate it. But certainly better than Revelations.
I really love Revelations, but yeah, this is definitely better. I'll be really interested to see what you think. I mean, when it starts becoming, you may take issue the way so many people have with the fact that it is so heavy on story, and there are sequences where you go from A to B and you get a cutscene instead of a mission, and that really wound some people up. But I'm really interested to see what happens with the further you get on.
That didn't wind me up on the boat. I thought it was all well done. It was well acted, apart from one guy. One guy wasn't a particularly good actor, but overall, and it looked so cool.
Yeah.
And the sense of place was great. Just the fact it started in England, and then the idea of just travelling across the ocean to get to America, there's something really appealing about that to me. I think it's just the life of watching films, probably. But like I say, very, very interesting so far. Very interesting.
Sweet, cool. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what you reckon as it goes on.
Yes.
Nice one. Okay, all right. My number 3 is a game called Special Forces Team X on the Xbox 360.
Live Arcade.
Xbox Live Arcade, that's right. Have you heard about it?
This, I actually watched a YouTube video. Do you know that Total Biscuit fella?
Oh, yeah.
Popular. I watched him play it because I saw it on the dash. I didn't know what it was, so I did what people do these days. I watched the video, and very informative and good video it was too.
Did he hate the game?
No, he liked it.
Oh, good, because I've seen a lot of reviews over the last 24 hours, and it's been getting quite a slating. I think it's a very, very good game. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I'd describe it as 1 part Borderlands, 2 parts Call of Duty, and 5 parts Gears of War. Broadly speaking, it's a Gears of War. There's many elements of Gears of War, but it's just a shooter. There's no chainsaws or sort of comedy. Actually, there are comedy assassinations. But the Borderlands aspect is just cosmetic. It's cel shaded. It looks really nice, and when you fire at people, digits fly out of them. The Call of Duty aspect is all about the ridiculously extensive customization options, and the way that everything's tied. XP unlocks levels unlock stuff you can use, weapons, etc. The only beef I have with it is, there are several things. It's not the fault of the game. I think the game is actually very good. I've played several games online, and I really, really enjoyed them. Also, there's an incredibly neat, novel level select. Rather than select a level, there's this kind of 3 reels that you flick round, and you basically mix and match different parts of levels with each other. So you can have a warehouse level on either side of either side, and then in the middle have like a Docklands level.
Oh, that's cool.
It is really cool. I mean, the problem is that every single level, all of the levels available to you, they all look like the final scene in a 1980s, every other 1980s action movie. So there's shipping crates, wire fences, oil drums, truck-mounted cranes. I mean, it looks like the end of the A-Team or something like that. And by and large, it's a really fun, really slick game. I mean, there are slight issues. I mean, I think you can run too fast. So if you're trying to shoot people in the heat of action, it's really quite difficult. The levels are, I mean, as neat as the level select thing is, the levels are a little too big. So if you haven't got a full room, it's a little bit sparse. The objective-based games, there's variants on everything you'd expect. Capture the flag, MVP. There's like domination variation. And the team deathmatches don't work for the same reason that I don't think Gears of War works in team deathmatch, which is that you just find people sitting. If you can sit behind somewhere, hide, and then pop out with a shotgun and kill them in one shot, you'll probably do that, which is a bit unfortunate. The matchmaking is really slow, so when you're searching for games, by the time the menu comes up, the ones that are quite full, the ones that you want to join, are either finished or they're full, which is a bit of a pain in the neck. Basically, I mean, if there's one problem that it has, it's not the game's fault, but when you buy an online-only game, it's completely online-only, there's no offline component at all. It's all about shelf life. If you're paying 1,200 Microsoft points for a game like this, you're gambling on how long there's going to be an audience for it. And it's like Hybrid. I really liked that game, but I mean, do you reckon anyone's still playing it now?
Probably not.
That's the problem. It's not the game's fault. And I like to think, if you've got friends, if that's the other thing. If you are still playing Call of Duty or Gears of War or Battlefield or anything vaguely similar to this is not better than them. So it's not quite enough to drag you away. It's not original. There's nothing original about it. It's just executed very, very nicely. And it's a shame because I'd like to sort of get me and some of my friends to get it, because after a while, once I got to about level 5 or 6, it really started to grab me and I had a lot of fucking fun with it. It's difficult. A really good, really punchy little number, but it's you're gambling on the fact that there's going to be people there in 6 months, and there might not be.
Yeah, that is the eternal problem with this sort of thing, especially on consoles. I think for some reason, I think on PC they tend to keep more of an active audience. That's just my perception. It's based on apps.
Yeah, but I mean, that can be in a Steam sale in like 3 months, and that can sort of get people back on it if they've gone off.
Yeah.
It's a real shame because I'd love to big it up and say go and get it, but am I going to play it instead of Battlefield 3? No chance.
No. And what, Battlefield 4?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a shame though, because I'm just like, they really pulled it off. It's from the guys that did Blacklight Tango Down and the other Blacklight game, whatever that was called. Really nicely done, and it's a shame that I can't recommend it higher. But it's an unfortunate situation we're in now, where you could pay 1,200 points for something, and maybe even 3 months down the line, no one's on it. It's a shame.
Yeah, totally. It looks cool though.
It does. It's fun. I enjoyed my time with it very much.
So my number 2 is the game that I was talking about when I said I'd talk about stuff to do with films and stuff later. It's Journey. I decided I had the PS3 on and I was like, oh yeah, Journey. So I put it on and played through the whole thing in one sitting a couple of days ago, and it was absolutely magnificent, to the point where I was like, I really should have given this my game of the year. And I think in future years we'll look back on on the games of 2012, and this will be the one that stands out. That's what I was thinking, especially as I got towards the end. It's basically flawless. I had an amazing experience second time through. I was playing with a person who had obviously played the game quite a lot, and he was white and he had a long scarf and he could basically fly. And have you ever, I mean, I don't know if you get this, I get that sometimes. You know when you hang out with someone who's just cooler than you, you know, is just cooler than you, that person, and you just kind of, especially when you're younger, more like a teenager, and you're just kind of in awe of someone, and you just kind of, say you were to hang out with fucking Samuel L. Jackson one day or something like that. That's what this experience felt like with me. I was just hanging out with this person. He was being super cool back to me, kept refilling my scarf, and we were both flying off everywhere, and I was like, what an absolute dude. And then right towards the end of the game, when you get to that bit where you're pushing against the wind, he just sat down on the ground and died and just disappeared into the ether. And I was like, fuck, we've been together all this time and that just happened. It was like, you know, that was quite a powerful moment. And then it got to the end of the game and I was thinking, you know, people banned this game in with stuff like Kentucky Route Zero. They shouldn't do, perhaps, and I'm guilty of it as anyone, these art games or stuff like that. But this is just, this is another level. This achieves something with the language of video games that, you know, very, very fine films achieve, and very, very, very few video games have ever achieved. I don't know if any have ever quite achieved this level of sort of poignancy through language and systems and visuals. It's a game, I can't pick a flaw in it. And I watched The Master this week, the Paul Thomas Anderson, his latest film, which is a very challenging and very interesting and like thrilling movie in a very unconventional way. And I thought it kind of, if Django Unchained reignited my love for movies, The Master reignited my love for cinema. That's what I said in my head afterwards. And it's an amazing piece of work. It's kind of difficult to watch in some ways, but it kind of made me think about that when I was playing Journey, because you know, they're polar opposites in terms of tone, in terms of style even, and completely unique to their own medium as well. But Journey was it's kind of at a similar level of artistry and accomplishment for me, and I've decided I will play it every year in February. I think it came out in February last year, but I'm going to play it once a year and enjoy it. And goodness, if you've not played it and you have a PS3 sitting there, just play it. Play it in one sitting, no distractions. I can't see how anyone could fail to enjoy it. Even if you go in with the mindset of, oh, people wank over this game, I still think it would win you over.
Yeah, I think I should have placed it higher on my list of the games of the year. But I play, you know, it's one of those things where it becomes, your memories become cluttered because you played it so early in the year. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was essentially perfect as well. I mean, I don't think it's the things that it does within it's what it does within a very, very conventional framework, because it is just kind of a platformer, a 3D sort of action game, and there's within the actual gameplay, it's how they sort of tell that strange story in the minimalistic style that they do. I mean, it's amazing for any number of reasons, but I don't think it would have, you know, I don't think I'd have given it Game of the Year just because the fundamentals of it were quite conventional. But a fucking incredible game, and I will go through it again at some point as well.
But while the interactions are quite conventional, the way it does co-op is
that's incredible. Yeah, completely incredible.
And the second time through, that completely defined my experience, because I knew what to expect. I could remember most of the journey, you know, most of the levels, for want of a better word, but the whole experience was defined by this interaction with another person, which was completely different to how I played it first time through, which was much more of a kind of joint discovery with what turned out to be a bunch of people but felt like two different people. And yeah, amazing. And there's very few games that have achieved that kind of thing. Not that they need to. There's nothing wrong with fucking shooting people or running around kicking people. Nothing wrong with any of that stuff either. But yeah, this is for me a long way ahead of most of these so-called art games, for want of a less leading phrase.
Yeah. Okay. Fair play. I'm definitely going to go back to it at some point. Of course. I doubt I'll play it every year, but you know, I will. It will forever be somewhere where I can get to it if I fancy it. Okay, right. My number 2 is Dead Space 3. I'm only about 3/4 of the way through it. I'm on mission 10 or 11, I think. I really like it. I liked it the second it started, but and that part of that might be the fact that I think these kind of experiences feel like they're kind of in jeopardy at the moment. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with the next gen of consoles, but big, expensive, really, really polished action blockbusters like this, they feel like they're in jeopardy. When stuff like Devil May Cry fails and it doesn't make its money back, I just tend to, because I do love games like this, I really do, and it's big and it's slightly dumb and it's exactly what I wanted at the time. It's just a big blockbuster piece of entertainment. I think there were moments where the way that the animations blended in with the gameplay was worthy of a comparison with Uncharted. Some of it was just breathtakingly well done. There are definitely elements of what you said. There are moments where you're backed into corners and you can't see the HUD on the back. And it does feel like moments where you're swamped by loads of enemies. If you do that in an action game, it has to be very, very well constructed, because there were moments in this where it just felt they were just throwing bad guys at you. No rhyme nor reason, just chaos. And I felt like my hands were tied a lot of the time, and I just got completely nutty fucked over. And those moments were irritating. And there were some bits, like the bit where you're in that massive with the ship, and there's a furnace, and you have to keep going back and forth, respawning enemies back. I mean, that was just bad. That was a bad part of the game. Crafting hasn't bothered me. I just ignore it. I've got my shotgun and my line cutter, and I don't really need anything else. I've crafted a few things, and they're in the bench if I need them. But I felt that it was fairly easy to ignore that, and that's not the kind of thing I tend to mess around with anyway. So I thought that was reasonably good. I mean, I think it's the least of the three so far, because it is relentlessly heavy on action, but I'm really enjoying it. It's so nice to play something that polished and just that. Yeah, it's good. They take that series seriously, and you can tell.
Yeah, I think I'd be interested to hear what you say when you get to the end of the game, because I definitely think the back third is where it really started to fall down for me, and you haven't quite got there yet.
Yeah.
It's I think 19 chapters in the game. With regards to the crafting, I wanted to enjoy it, but I was writing a review, so I had to interact with it, which, had I been playing it just for my own enjoyment or just for the podcast, I think I probably would have done what you've done. But it did really hurt the flow. And yeah, it's definitely lavish in many ways, but I sort of feel in some ways it's kind of a little bit cheap. A lot of the assets are reused in corridors and things like that. It cuts corners in quite clever ways, but eventually, I quickly got fed up of the just constant barrage of enemies coming at me. And as I said last week, I'm not bothered that they wanted to turn it into an action game. That's absolutely fine, no problem. But I just don't think it quite had the systems to support that. Other people disagree massively in some cases. Cool. I think I tweeted this week, when I was a younger critic, games journalist, and I didn't like a game very much, I hoped everybody else would not like it too. Now, the exact opposite. I hope everybody else loves it. I really do. I hope everyone else has a great time, and I'm the only one that had a crap time, because that means that they had fun, and that means the people who made the game get, all good. I've got no bitterness towards this game whatsoever. I just didn't happen to enjoy it, and I'm over it. I was over it a long time ago. So yeah, all power and good tidings to everyone who's enjoying it. I feel no need to be negative about it anymore, really.
I've summed it up really. I mean, I really, really am enjoying it. I'm loving it. I will probably go through it again on co-op, because a couple of friends have been playing on co-op and they say it's absolutely superb. But then again, they're swapping blueprints for weapons and doing all of that stuff, like they do in Borderlands, which is the last game they played together. So it might not grab me as much as it's grabbed them, but I like the game enough to probably go through it again.
Yeah, if you're into that kind of Borderlands loot thing, like I said, it probably appealed to you more than it did to me. And it pains me when a critic picks on a game that they don't like and decides to have a fight with it over a series of weeks and months. For some sort of weird ego trip. So I'm not going to do that with this game. Absolutely not. I hope the world loves it.
Okay, I love it.
Sweet. That was it, me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So my number one, I'm guessing, is the same as yours. Aliens Colonial Marines.
Oh, you got it then?
This was with my decent chunk of credit note. I was sitting there. I bought the 3 games, Alpha Protocol, Silent Hill and Assassin's Creed, and I had 40 quid left over, and I looked up and I was like, Aliens is there. I need to see it. I need to see this disaster. So I was like, stick it in. And yeah, I got it, and I started playing it last night, and fucking hell, like the first hour and a half, I was just laughing constantly. I was in a great mood. It's so fucking shit that I just couldn't stop laughing. I went in, I'd read, I've seen all the GIFs, I've watched the videos, I've read the reviews. I knew this was not a good game, and everything I kept watching about it was making me laugh. So I was like, I just need to see it for myself. And the first mission, just, good Lord, I can't believe how bad it looks. I can't believe how bad the acting is. I can't believe how bad the story is. I can't believe how bad the animation is, the bugs, everything about it. Until the point where it started being a very, very long and arduous level where you're just shooting men with no AI for a long time. And I was like, oh, but I've just got to Hadley's Hope, and it started to look a little bit better, and it's made me laugh another 4 or 5 times. The one brilliant bit where a fucking guy is like, his door slid open, and the guy was standing there, and then he freaked out a little bit, and then he booted forward, and the door slid back as if he'd somehow managed to kick the door shut. It's fucking gleaming. I don't think I've ever laughed so much playing a game, so I don't regret playing it so far. But I did go to bed with a violent migraine, which I'm pretty sure it caused by basically looking like an N64 game. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to play it all.
I'm glad you can look at it like that. I mean, I'm just one of those people that was really looking forward to this, and a lot of people slated it, but I really liked the Aliens versus Predator from a couple of years ago. I mean, the original PC one from back in the day was superb, but I even liked the last one. I'll say this. People are going to think I'm joking when I say this, but I swear on my life this happened. During an action sequence in Colonial Marines, I fell asleep. I was not tired. It wore me down until I was out for probably about a minute, and then I woke up and there was aliens around. I was like, oh yeah, shit, I'm playing this game. Every single aspect of it is nondescript to such a ridiculous... It's baffling that it got released. It's baffling that... I don't understand what the hell's going on. I honestly don't understand. The dearth of imagination is staggering. One thing, I don't know if this is true with you, but it's a landmark for this, because it's completely linear. There's only ever one way to go. Sometimes there's little corridors that branch off and you'll find like a collectible at the end, but they're always dead ends. Yeah. You're always going one direction. There's also always NPCs leading the way. There's always NPCs to follow. I kept getting fucking lost.
Yeah, I got lost a bunch. Yeah.
How do you... But that's how bad the level design is.
But I'd be following the NPCs, and then they'd have teleported, sometimes up another level. They teleported up through a lift, through a section where there was an airlock problem where you couldn't walk through it, and they'd just fucking hell. I mean, it's one of the worst games I've ever played. Yeah, I mean,
it's baffling. I mean, there's a real... I mean, when magazines and websites do retrospectives of old games, they're always good old games. And I hope that everyone's feeling a little bit... I hope in a few years they do a really, really in-depth retrospective of this game to find out what the hell went wrong. Because there's so many... there's more mysteries in this game than there are in the complete works of Agatha Christie. How did it... There's questions that I mean, the thing is... The thing that made me really upset about it is that the creators of the game know how fucked up it is and how rubbish it is, because when the game starts... It's action straight away, and you bring out your motion tracker, and as soon as you see that blip on the, that there's an alien in the vicinity, I got a bit of a chill, because I'm like, oh god, because I love aliens so much. Yeah. After a while, you stop getting the motion tracker out because the aliens aren't a threat. They just either jump at you or they run at you. You blindly fire them down and they're dead, or you melee them to death, and the acid goes somewhere, and you lose a tiny little bit of your shield.
Then you go and pick up a hat.
Yeah,
it's this endless collection of hats that you pick up,
and shoulder pads as well.
Yeah, got so many.
But after a while, because the aliens are not a threat to you, you stop bringing the motion tracker out. There's no point. But there still makes the noise. The noise still comes up, even if you not have it equipped. So they know that the thing is essentially useless, but they want to try and infuse it with a little bit of. And that's actually Aliens vs Predator got that right, because it wasn't just relentless action. There's weapon upgrades. Upgrades. Why would you put a silencer on a pulse rifle? What's the point? I mean, it's not like the aliens aren't going to rush you, because that's all they can do. What is the point? It's the most harebrained idea I've ever. It's completely bizarre. Also,
you've got a pulse rifle and an assault rifle.
I know.
I swear. What's the difference?
Well, the sound is different. Actually, with regards to the sound of the pulse rifle, when I saw this presented behind closed doors at E3, not last year, the year before, and Randy Pitchford was going basically nuts in front of us about how, he was so enthusiastic. And he did say, for the first time, we've got the official license to use the sounds of the pulse rifle, the actual official library sounds. We have access to those. And it was just like, I think everyone in that room sat back and thought, that is pretty fucking cool. I never want to hear that fucking sound as long as I live. It's like it drills into your head after all, because it's just
horrible noise.
The combat doesn't stop. You walk into a room. When you start after 25 minutes, human guys appear. It's just like, what's gone wrong? Everything's gone wrong. This is a diabolical video game, truly. And it just doesn't. When you die, the screen hangs on a black and white freeze frame for like 10 seconds, and you think it's crashed.
Yeah. There's that. That's really good. The fact that what I was enjoying about it when I was in basically just constant fits of laughter is that there's a lot of doors that slide open and you never know what you're going to get behind it. It's always a treat. Sometimes you'll get a reasonably well lit room with some eggs and some nice alien decals. Still looks like shit, but it's kind of cool. Some of the rooms are nicely lit. Sometimes you just get blue. Just blue in a box, and I was just so excited every time I got to a door to see, oh, please be something shit. And you walk out into a room, and it's supposed to be like one of the sets from the movies. It's just a giant room with about 3 objects in it, and then just some blue. And you're like, I cannot believe that you released this game. It's absolutely atrocious. I fucking paid for it.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot, but I'm enjoying myself. But I mean, if I'd gone in expecting it to be good or hoping it would be good, good Lord, I'd be absolutely devastated.
Yeah, but more than anything, it's just mystifying. I don't understand how it got to this point. I don't understand why they released it. I wonder what state it was, because it was originally supposed to be released last year. What state was it in back then?
God knows. Have you seen all the conspiracies going around at the moment with it being outsourced to Timegate, and some people are even saying that they used the money that they're supposed to spend on this on Borderlands? I mean, that's absolutely pure speculation from nowhere, but there's all sorts of funny stuff going around. Sega saying Gearbox definitely made it. Gearbox are saying they didn't make the campaign. All this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's why I want a really, really in-depth, fierce retrospective in a couple of years, because the whole way through I was just like, how did this happen? But not only just a misunderstanding of the property. How can you have an Aliens game and then it's just you're fighting human beings half of the time, and just the shooting is fucking unsatisfying. Using the iron sights. You can't even get accurate. You can't shoot accurately. It doesn't allow you to do it because everything keeps waving around, and you can't upgrade the accuracy of the weapons or anything. And something completely blew my mind. If there's a lot of things that the Alien movies did right, specifically Alien and Aliens, rather than the third and the fourth one. But just through sheer technique, they managed to disguise the fact that the aliens were actors in rubber suits.
Yeah.
Here, the aliens look like men in suits. How did that? I mean, with all of the trickery and stuff that the video game developers have, the fact that they look like men in suits is it blows my mind.
They're so shit. The amount of times I've had one run up to me, wave at me, then run away, then run up a wall, and then come back, and then I'd shoot it in the head. Fucking idiots. I'm looking forward to that bit later on that you see with the old men aliens that just stumble about. I can't wait.
That doesn't make any sense. I mean, admittedly, that's after I fell asleep, so I zoned out a little bit, but you're walking around this area and you can't make any noise, and as soon as you make a noise, these aliens that have this yellow glow wake up.
I haven't got to that bit yet. I'm excited about that bit.
Have a look. I had completely zoned out by that point, so I don't know what the explanation is. That aliens sleep sort of and then they go yellow and then they can't see you. I mean, I don't know what the fuck that set piece is all about. Actually, I will say one thing. I don't know if is it a spoiler? There's one.
Nobody cares. Everybody's already spoiled the whole game online. It's just a big joke.
One solitary moment in the campaign was absolutely fantastic, which is where you're basically sprinting from a massive. I think it was an alien queen, or it's one of those hybrids. It's a hybrid or something. But it's this massive thing chasing you, and you are breaking down doors with your repair tool. What would you call it? Like a welding thing.
Yeah.
Breaking through doors and then sealing them up behind you, and then breaking through another set of doors, and then while this alien is bashing through. And it's so tense, such a brilliant idea, and it's stuck out like a sore thumb. There's nothing else to recommend the campaign. That was a single highlight. It's an absolute catastrophe. It's unbelievable, an unbelievable game. Have you played the multiplayer yet?
No, I can't wait.
I've tried it. I mean, I always get a bit sceptical when reviews come out early and people talk about the multiplayer being really good, because there's not really a properly adequate time to have tested it. I mean, preview events occasionally, but that That's not, there are sort of other factors in place that could sort of lead that to not be a legitimate representation of the game. And I've played it online. I played a few games. It's just pretty damn shoddy. I mean, the thing is that obviously I'm playing. It's out in America now. So when I played it, I was playing against Americans, and I just couldn't get a kill. When I was an alien, I thought, God, the soldiers are really unbalanced, and the aliens are useless. And then when I was a Marine, it was the same thing. I just couldn't get a kill when I was getting hammered. But that might have more to do with lag than anything else. But it just looks dull. The game types are pretty uninspired. It just... The whole package, what a car accident.
I can't describe it any better. Yeah. It's one of the few games that I've played that's so bad it's good. But then it gave me a horrible headache, and there was a large chunk in the middle of my session which wasn't good in any way, shape or form. But I'm going to play it more.
Well, I'll be interested. I'll be fascinated if it doesn't try your patience, because it is a fascinating game, and in some strange, perverse way, I think that people playing it is not something I'd dissuade, because I can't even think of a game I can compare it to. Just how shoddy it looks in every department, how shoddy it feels, how it's just a complete and utter travesty and misunderstanding of the property. It beggars belief in every possible way. Yeah. So if you see it for £1, go ahead. If you see it any more than that, for God's sake,
fucking get it for £1 all day. Proper belly laughs on my own last night at different points. Oh, there was one other bit which was fucking amazing. I can't even remember, but yeah, I kept having to pause it. I was texting people. It was so funny.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, because I didn't. I mean, the litmus test is going to be when our mutual friend Zeno picks it up, because I said don't buy it. I'm telling you, it's absolutely god-awful in ways that you can't even imagine. He's still going to get it, because he's the biggest aliens freak in the world. So
he's not nicknamed after an alien. That is his real name as well.
Yeah, indeed. So if he likes it, there's a chance that he might like it, and that I'll be interested to sort of grill him about that.
It's much worse than the aliens level he made on Little Big Planet. Much worse.
No, there's no doubt about it. But that was amazing. So.
Yeah, it was.
Even if you thought Aliens versus Predator was pretty good, and I thought it was pretty good, maybe even at junctures, very good.
It's so much better than this game. Yeah. So much better.
It's... I'd say I'm speechless, but obviously I'm anything but it is an unbelievable piece of work.
Awesome. I can't wait to get back on it. I'm going to play it right now.
Fair play. Enjoy.
I won't, but I'll definitely laugh.
Okay.
Right, that's it. 50 episodes in the can. Amazing. Thank you very much for listening. Check out the website at thefiniteplaylist.com, as always. Check out the Twitters, at John Denton, at Chet Roivas. Roivas? Yeah, I guess that's how you say it. Check out the YouTube channel. Loads of stuff going on there. There's a bunch of stuff going to be coming out this week. We're going to have some cool videos coming out for Metal Gear next week as well. We should be talking about next week. Chet and John's on YouTube. Go, subscribe, that'd be great. And if you could leave us an iTunes review, that massively boosts our iTunes rankings, apparently, hugely, crazily so. Even a couple of reviews. So that would be massively appreciated. That would be amazing. Hit us up on Facebook, or don't do any of these things and just live your life and just hate us. That's fine too. Love you all. Peace out.
Cheers, Jack Dintone. Goodbye.
Sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
Whip your phone out. The only problem with it is that there's in-app purchases, and the in-app purchases are just cheats. So, there might be some interest in seeing, who out of you and all of your friends have the best sort of reflexes. But, if you go to the top of the worldwide leaderboards, there's just people who've spent a few quid or a few dollars on buying extra lives and cheats and stuff.
Fantastic.
So it's just kind of... the one thing it would be really, really good for is voided by that. But it's still fun. I mean, and it's free. It's just a good way to spend a very, very short period of time, really.
Yeah, that sounds like a game I'll never play, but
yeah, genuine.
Yeah, thanks for talking about it. My number 9 is Pez. I haven't played it for ages. I thought I'd have a quick game, Madrid versus United, based on the game last night as we were recording, and it was fun. I won 1-0. I still really love Pez. Looking forward to seeing what happens on next generation Pez, on the new Fox engine or whatever it's called, the new Konami next gen engine. Yeah, I'm pumped about that.
Yeah, I'll have a game at some point in the next few weeks. It's something I've been having an itch to go back to. Okay, well, my number 9 is Fist of the North Star, Ken's Rage 2. Again, it's not something I've played a vast amount of, but what I have played, it really has got to me. It is just Dynasty Warriors, but there is something that I like a lot more about just it being hand-to-hand combat. And it's as it progresses, it gets a little bit more involved. You have to master the dash move, and there's a really cool charge attack, which just to decimate like about 20 guys with it is really incredibly satisfying. The funny thing, Dynasty Warriors is something that it's assumed everyone knows what it is, and it's actually, as simple as it is, it's quite hard to describe the appeal of it. But I have to say, was there orbs in Dynasty War? But I haven't gone back to it. But I like to say that I will do one day, but I probably won't.
Yeah, when I said I will, I probably won't.
Okay, my number 8 is a game called Zombie Strippers Stole My Heart, Then Ate My Brains on the Xbox 360.
You know how to pick them.
I do. Actually, this is actually perfectly reasonable. It's a first-person shooter. It's 80 Microsoft points, and it's just zombies from Call of Duty mode. There's none of the bells and whistles. You're not boarding up sort of entrances for them to get in. There's no levelling up. It's incredibly simple. The animation is so basic and skittish that it's hard to get headshots. And you just hoard ammo and just kill, occasionally protecting someone. It's ridiculously simple. But for what it is, it's like, this is perfectly acceptable for 80 Microsoft points. It's perfectly fine. I mean, I played it for a little while and I thought, this is pretty good for a shit game.
Oh, that doesn't sound too bad then. What's the name again? It is a good name.
Zombie Strippers Stole My Heart, Then Ate My Brains. It's but presentation-wise, the nuts and bolts of it are quite, like I said, the skittish animation. If you try and get headshots, it's just an exercise in frustration. But apart from that, for 80 Microsoft points, it's good. If you want a sort of disposable alternative to zombies mode in Call of Duty, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Oh, good on him. Well done. My number 7 is a game called Limits and Demonstrations. I think that's what it's called. This was a free spin-off of Kentucky Route Zero that appeared this week. As it was free, I decided to download it. It's kind of the art game taken to its most pretentious end. You're actually walking around an art installation by a fictional artist within this game world.
Say my name, you insolent dickhole.
Hello and welcome to episode 50 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivers. With me as usual is John Denton.
All right.
Right, episode 50. Nothing's changed. This format's the same as ever. 2 top 10 lists. The number 10s are the games we've been playing the least over the past 7 days. The number 1s are the games we've been playing the most. That's it. Same old, same old. John, let's go.
Do this. Number 10, my boy Darts Night on iOS. Good fun. Technically probably higher, but I don't want to talk about it too much. Free, fun, get it.
Okay, I will investigate that, although I probably won't remember. My number 10 is a game called Bop It Smash on the iOS. It's free. Have you ever heard of Bop It?
Is it that toy that you pass, that squeak and squeeze and bop and all that shit?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I looked at there was some kind of about thing on the game, and it went to this handheld toy. Yeah, I've never heard of it. But it's all about reaction times, and the app that's all the app's about. How best is it? I mean, it's the simplest game in the world. There's a circle on the screen, and this sort of imagine someone's pointing a laser pen at the screen, and every time it goes in the circle, you tap the screen. That's it. It's just testing your reaction times.
Right.
Within that circle in the middle, there's a tiny little circle, and if you can obviously nail it inside that, you get more points. The only problem, I mean, it's the simplest game in the world. You wouldn't believe how simple it is. But surprisingly, surprisingly more. It's the epitome of something that will keep you sort of idly busy for over like 2 minutes when you just.
I think there's 5 pieces, and you can go and look at them, and then it has the Kentucky Route Zero gameplay, I guess you call it, where you'll be in a conversation and 3 options will come up, but then you're not reacting as you would in a Mass Effect or a Walking Dead. You're just sort of dictating where the narrative goes by saying one of your 3 answers. You walk in a circle around these 5 things. It's still very stylish, kind of monochrome, really cool animation. It's reasonably well written. But it got me thinking about this whole style of game. I talked about it a bit, and some of the films I've watched recently. I'm going to talk about that later when I talk about another game higher up in my list. But so some points came to me, so I want to talk about them a little bit later in the show.
Okay, fair enough. So who actually made it?
I think they're called Cardboard Games or Cardboard Computing or something like that. It's the Kentucky Route Zero people, and this is part of that world. They just decided to release it as a free download for. Yeah, I thought it's free.
I thought it was like made. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant that it was made by fans or something. It was like.
Oh no! It's part of this universe made by the same people. I'm not too sure why they did it, but they wanted to add a bit of colour and content, I guess, for want of a better word, to their world. It's by an artist called Lula Chamberlain. I don't recognise that name from the game, but maybe it was mentioned. It's extremely pretentious, but without being too irritating, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, fair enough.
Its heart's in the right place, I think.
So you prefer it to the actual original Kentucky Route Zero?
Well, I do, because it was free and it took about 5 minutes.
Okay, fair comment. All right, okay. My number 7 is Rainbow Six Vegas. Still doing it.
Still playing it.
Yeah. I mean, it is such a strange game because it's hard to compute that something so primitive came at the beginning of this hardware generation. I mean, walking through is.
I think so.
I can never remember. I mean, because this
I can't remember.
It is constantly being swarmed by enemies. There's loads of orbs flying around. It is actually quite gripping. Albeit very, very simplistic. I mean, I can understand why people fall in love with it, but if you're curious about it or aren't familiar with Dynasty Warriors, just go on YouTube, because that's the best way to sort of explain what it's about. But it's very good, I have to say.
I heard it's just the same as the first Ken's Rage.
I never played that, so I can't comment.
Yeah, I don't know either. I haven't played either, but yeah, that's what I'm hearing. But
it's fun.
Whatever.
It's fun, but I mean, if you have, it's a very specific type of gamer that tends to like those games. So you should.
Yeah, people love them. I fucking hate them, but. Yeah, all power to you.
I don't like Dynasty Warriors, but I think this is better for me.
Good old Kenneth. My number 8, is Metroid Fusion on the 3DS via the GBA. Remember those presents that we got for getting the 3DS early?
Yeah.
And Nintendo gave us a bunch of presents.
Oh yeah, of course.
This was one of them, wasn't it? Metroid Fusion. Really good. I never actually played a 2D Metroid game before. I never played Super Metroid when I was a kid. I was a bit too young for the very first one on the NES. And it's really, really good. It's exactly what you'd expect it to be. That whole Metroidvania thing that I know winds you up comes from, this. So exploration, locked off areas, shooting things, finding new abilities, getting to the new areas. You know how Metroid works.
Of course.
Really nice tactile 2D gameplay, nice graphics. Yeah, it's cool. It's something that I'll whip out every now and again, I would have thought, and power through it.
Yeah, I don't mind the Metroidvania gameplay style, I just hate the word.
No, I know that, yeah.
I think I played that for a bit and was quite impressed as well.